All right, everyone, we got the RSM Classic here. It's going to be a good one. Eric Paul's in there, 9-5 Sports, going to be getting into the top picks and plays for the RSM Classic. Once again, I'm going to be doing the same format as last week, where I'm going to be highlighting the coverage from last week, going to be into what to expect for this week, and then I'm going to be getting into the core plays at the end of this video. But this is the last tournament of the fall stretch, I guess, if you will. And then we get about a month off, which will be nice. For me personally, I'm going to be working on some tools at 9-5 Sports. Adding European DFS, adding Korn Ferry Tour data, and then also, LPGA or Champions Tour. I might do one of them, maybe both of them, we'll see. But I'm really focused on Korn Ferry Tour and the European Tour data as well. Really making it not only your one-stop shop for PGA DFS, but just for fantasy golf as well. So I'm excited to get to work on that stuff as well, to give you guys that data as well. And then as well as just adding some simple stuff to the page as well. So I'm excited for that stuff altogether. And then, going forward next year, going to be getting into, more outright betting videos, getting back to the fades videos, doing some more live videos as well as like the showdown videos. So I'm excited for that, but I'm also kind of excited to, I guess, get a week off, I guess, if you will. I'm still gonna be working and whatnot, but that'll be fun. I kind of feel like Thanos at the end of Infinity War, can rest on top of a peaceful earth when, I don't know, at the end of the video. That's kind of how I'm going to feel come pretty much Thursday morning when the golfers tee off. So, I don't know, it's a fun tournament. But that being said as well, it is kind of a difficult tournament. You guys will see not that many quality, like mid-tier price point plays. A couple of good high payout plays, but they have their flaws as well. So this is going to be kind of an interesting week. And with that, we'll get into it real quick. So I'll pull up the tournament page here. All right, so one thing we see about this tournament is that it is an easy scoring event. So on easy scoring tracks, it is typically much harder variance wise. There's a lot more variance to it when it's an easier scoring track. Typically, the easier weeks in DFS are going to be scoring that is harder and then scoring that is normal. When you get easy, it brings in a lot more variance. I think we can tell that just based on the players that have won. Tyler Duncan, Austin Cook, Robert Streb, and Charles Howell III. I would say Robert Streb was probably the biggest surprise there. Austin Cook was kind of playing good heading into that. Charles Howell, not too shocking there, but just a very interesting week in general with that. Georgia course, the thing with this tournament, though, is that it's going to be played on two different courses, the Seaside and the Plantation course. So with that, we don't exactly have all the key data that we would typically want to look at the key stats. Now we can see how the Seaside course plays. It's a Seaside style course, full tournament field event, plays easy. Greens are a little bit bigger. Greens are typically a little bit slower, though, as well. I think that's just given the time of year that it's at. Fairway length, a little bit tight. Rough anchorage is very tight there. So if you are struggling driving accuracy, it will hurt you. But for the most part, we don't really see that too much. Definitely driving distance or driving accuracy over driving distance. But we can see here, guys, because we have two courses, the data doesn't exactly line up how we would typically like it to. But we can see definitely ball striking. Players that do well stroke gain approach typically do better on this course. So we do want to be focused on ball striking. We're going to be focusing on that. You can look at stroke gain to the green, stroke gain approach, like I said. But one thing, with it being an easy scoring event, I am actually going to be looking at birdie or better percentage. You want players that can go on and score. Okay, that's going to help them make the cut. But I also am going to be looking at birdie to bogey ratio as well this week. So just stuff that I'm going to be looking at. And then we also kind of do see some players from the Georgia area do better. We can see these players from Georgia have all kind of done a little bit better here. So there is a little bit of a local ties narrative as well. So just something to look at there. If you're on the 9-5 Sports page, you can check that out as well. But let's do a quick recap of last week, and then we will get into the top picks, and then we'll get into the core plays at the end of this video. So just recapping it, guys. Last week was very interesting. So that Saturday morning finish of round 2, it really shifted the whole slate. Okay. Taylor Moore was making the cut, and if he had made the cut, it would have been a pretty awesome week for me in general. Still was able to profit. Can't complain about a profitable week, but that's the thing. It's like there are so many like little things that come into play when there's a weather delay that it is tough to feel great about a week when we get those weather delays. Definitely just shifted the whole slate, but most of my lineups 5 out of 6 across the cut line. And the difference for me last week, and I think a lot of members, was the fact that you can gain a slight edge here and there. One thing I kind of want to point out is this basic write-up portion here. Like I said, I would be on Brooks, Cam Smith, Joaquin Neiman, and even Terrell Hatton. But I didn't love them as much as the players I highlight here. Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler, Sungjae Im, Matthew Wolff, Taylor Gooch, Aaron Wise. Those guys were all the players I wanted to go out of my way first before I went into those other guys. And kind of same for like this price point range as well. Henley, Jason Kokrak, McNeely. You know, the players that I ended up on the most, Burns, Gooch, Wise, McNeely, Scheffler, and more a little bit, they all did what we want them to do. And kind of the natural lineup path led us to get 5 out of 6 across the cut line. And we can see some of the lower exposure plays, some of the value plays did not making the cut, which did help some lineups do well. I had one lineup kind of carry the rest of them with a top like 25 GPP finish. So it was close. Obviously, if some of the cut sweat goes our way, it's probably a huge week. And that's kind of been the same for the last 2 weeks now, where the cut sweat goes your way, you're sitting pretty. And that we already saw that happen once this year where the cut sweat, you know, went my way. And it was a great week taking down that GPP. So really, the weeks are decided by that cut sweat, whether in GPPs or cash. But let's get into this tournament. I do want to highlight something here for you guys. We can see like it is a very interesting week. Not that much course history, but the players that have played well at this courses typically tend to play well as well. But let's just get into the players that I like the most. So starting off, I do want to mention Webb Simpson, kind of just a class of the field, I guess, if you will. The issue with Webb is that he ended up being chalk at the Shriners, but for me and the rest of the 9-to-5 Nation, we knew that his miscut there was a long time coming. Okay, we worried about that for a while because he was just getting off to these slow starts. Okay, and I'm not exactly sure that that's out of the way just yet. I do worry about that with him, but I think the CJ Cup, that was a great sign. Did play better as the week went on, but I think sometimes you just need that miscut to mentally reset. When you keep grinding out these made cuts when you're not really playing well, you get away with some stuff, I feel like. So Webb Simpson, I'm perfectly fine going back to the well with him. He ranks out top 4 in the model this week. 37th place finish here last year, 2nd, 3rd, and then he withdrew the week or in 2018. But we can see strokes gained total there. He was 26. So when he withdrew, he was still playing well as well there. So yeah, Webb Simpson going to be a great pick this week. I do really like him. He's going to be the player that I start off with the most. And then Harris English. So Harris, top 20 English, our guy. What did we do with him? Because he hasn't exactly been lining up, I guess, if you will. Miscut at the Shriners, played horrible there. But that's the thing. It's like we don't exactly know how these players are going to respond coming off of a new season. Okay, miscut and then withdrew. That's not what you want. Okay, but we can see here. Georgia Bulldog. He went to college in Georgia. All of his ties are from there. That's something I do want to point out. We can see course history. Top 10, miscut, 46, 100th place finish. We know, though, career-wise with Harris English, since we played him a lot, that he was a lot different player last year than he was previous to that. So, this data that we have for him this season, not really indicative of how he really is player-wise. And I'll just pull him up here on the player profile so you guys can kind of get a better picture of who he is as a player. Just make this camera a little bit smaller here too. All right. So yeah, here's things. Let's just pull it up here, guys. So over the last year, he's had 23 starts, only 5 missed cuts. 10 of them have been top 25 finishes. 6 of them have been top 10 finishes. Average finish of 40th. That's including those missed cuts. So I do like him, though. I just like him as a pick. We can see a little bit better on these Bermuda greens. We like to see that. A little bit better on this course length. Does better on shorter tracks. Does better on seaside courses as well. So everything kind of pointing to Harris English being a decent play. It is a little bit risky with Webb Simpson, Harris English. You kind of just have to cross your fingers and hope for the best. Know that they're the correct play if they are playing their game. So I do like those two plays. And then getting into Cory Connors here. Cory Connors is another play where it's like kind of ugly, but also if he's playing his game, he's going to be a good option for us this week. Cory Connors, we can see recent form has been solid. 7 straight make cuts in a row. Course history-wise, 10th, 23rd, 37th, like that. Does rank out top 10 in the 95 mile this week. Actually, second best this week. Doesn't exactly gain strokes on these greens, but not too worried about that. Has done really well on shorter tracks. He is a short track specialist here, guys. Average strokes gained total rank of 9th in those. That is spectacular. Course style as well. Seaside courses does much better on those seaside courses as well. If we want to look at hazards, plays better. There's a lot of hazards, water hazards in this one, so he doesn't really get into trouble too much. Over his last 23 starts, only has 2 missed cuts, do like that. 16, more than half of those have been top 25 finishes, so you can include him as a pick as well. And I do want to mention just real quick, Kevin Kisner, because he's not part of this video, but I do want to kind of warn you guys a little bit. He's getting talked up a lot in the outright betting community, I guess, if you will, this week, which I don't disagree with, I guess. But he's a horrible DFS play this week. I don't want to say horrible, but don't play him in cash. It's priced up a little bit too much for you to feel comfortable. I get it why you'd want to outright bet him. But as it sits right now, I just don't think he's worth the risk this week in DFS. And that kind of is the problem this week, is that we're paying up for a lot of players that are not checking all the boxes, that are not really even checking 2 boxes. Stat fit-wise, he's horrible. We're just banking on the fact that he has strong course history, those local ties here, I guess, if you will. 2nd miscut, 7th, 4th. So he does have strong course history, and people are really banking on that. They're banking on kind of that Wyndham Championship win as well, where he was actually showing a little bit of upside prior to that, though. So whereas recent form has been trash lately. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about him. Is a short course player. Does play better on short tracks as well. But just want to warn you guys about that. That being said, I'm going to pull up Taylor Gooch here. Taylor Gooch is not an elite play. He's just not. That's the issue this week. Look at the course history. The course history is trash. 1 made cut. That's horrible. Recent form has been there. 7 straight make cuts in a row. This kind of goes back to my approach. Like last week with Seamus Power, I was on him, but I wasn't exactly on him because he was a great play. It was just more or less ride the wave. If it works out, it does. If not, it doesn't. So like Taylor Gooch, I'm not going to be on him as much as I have been prior. You know, he's a core play for me last week. This week, he might just be a low exposure play, but I do like to kind of ride these guys into the ground, even though they might not be popping up the most as you typically want them to. Just the okay play. Let's get back into the cheat sheet here real quick, and then we'll get into those other plays. So I do want to start off with Mackenzie Hughes, another guy. Doesn't have great results here as well, guys. I mean, they're bad. They're bad results. But the recent form has been there. 11 straight make cuts in a row. We can see a bunch of top 30 finishes mixed in there. Just been playing well this season. A guy that I don't mind playing. See, key stat-wise, top 15. Recent form-wise, top 7. Top 20 in the 95 mile. That's pretty good. And then Joel Damon, however you want to say it. 3 out of 4 make cuts here like that. 5 straight make cuts in a row. Kind of checking all the boxes, if you will. Could be a little bit better course history-wise, but 3 out of 4 make cuts. Typically, I want to see at least a top 30 finish over the last 4 years, which we don't have. We have a 37th place finish, which is kind of like okay with it. But he's almost checking all the boxes. Top 15 in the 95 model. I'm fine with it. I can roll with Joel Damon at this price point. Don't love it, but that's kind of the week that we have. Then kind of going back to it, guys, so I don't want to play him again. I don't want to mention this again. Sorry for doing this to you guys, but last week I kind of mentioned in the write-up, it's that the only reason I was playing Seamus Power was because I had played him a lot. He had helped me out a lot, I guess, in the past, so I don't like to bail on players like that, I guess, if that makes sense. So went back to him. He had 3 straight top 25 finishes. Not the best course fit for him last week. So it's not really surprising that I missed a cut. This is going to be a shorter track, which does favor him a little bit, but 3 straight missed cuts at this course, that is not something you want to see. A little bit worried about him as a pick, but I will have him as like a low exposure play. Let's get into Chris Kirk here. Chris Kirk, all right, 7 straight make cuts in a row. I get a little bit excited about Chris Kirk as it played this week. We can see 3 out of 4 make cuts here. That's pretty good. Top 30 in the 95 mile, we'll take that. Birdie to bogey ratio, 41st, like that. Effective scoring could be better. Really all the other stats could be better, but we are just going to chase the fact that, you know, as played well at this course, 7 straight make cuts in a row, do like that. Now we're going to get into the low tier here. Matt Kucher. Matt Kucher is a very interesting play. At the start of the year, I kind of said that he was going to be this year's Charlie Hoffman. And by that, I mean he was going to be the player that was most likely to bounce back from a bad year last year, from an off year. And we have kind of seen that. 3 straight make cuts in a row, top 25 finish in his most recent start. This should be a good course for Matt Kucher. He's a shorter hitter nowadays, and that should benefit him here. We don't exactly see that by looking at these secondary stats, but I just think this is going to be a made cut for him, and at that price point, I'll take that. That's good enough for me. He does have those local ties as well. And then you guys already know this. I'm going to go back to Troy Money Merritt. He's just been playing well. 15th place finish, 28th miscut, 16th place finish. So the upside finishes have been there with him. He's made 3 out of 4 cuts here recently. It's just I just like playing him because of the upside. It's kind of like the hit or miss play, and that's going to be Troy Merritt for me this week. I'm okay with it at 7.9, or sorry, at 7.5. I'm perfectly fine with him as a pick. Does rank out top 25 in the 9 to 5 mile this week. Let me go a little bit lower here. This is where it gets interesting. We can go with Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell has made 3 straight cuts in a row, with only one being a really good finish at the CJ Cup, but also a guy that has those local ties, and that's probably why he hasn't made the cut here, because this shouldn't be a good course for him. But 44th, 14th, miscut, 54th. Pretty decent stat fit, top 20 stat fit this week, so not a horrible pick this week for Keith Mitchell, but not a great pick. That's kind of the worry this week. Now I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit with this next section. There are 3 players in the 7K price point range that I really like, and I'm just going to do that with the salary here real quick. We'll do 6,900, and then we'll do just 7,000, just so we can see those plays. So Adam Shank, starting with Adam Shank. I really don't mind Adam Shank this week. Played well last week. Decent play, 2 out of 3 made cuts here. Fine with that. But the players that I like a little bit more are going to be Denny McCarthy, guys. 3 straight made cuts in a row. An 11th and a 15th place finish. I mean, the upside's been there with him. 17th finish just, 5 starts ago. So the upside's been there with him. And we've seen that at this course as well with the top 10 finish 2 years ago. He does have 2 missed cuts in there. And that kind of goes back to the problem with this week is that there are a lot of risky plays. Okay, there just are. That's him this week. But I'm gonna chase the fact that he should be right around a made cut, and I think that just given the fact that a little bit better course fit, he's gonna be able to make the cut this week. And then going down into someone like Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover, I do like 2 straight made cuts here at this course. Been ball striking the ball really well thus far this year. 4 straight made cuts in a row. That's really it. It's just a decent flyer pick, and then Scott Piercy as well. Does rank out really well in the 9 to 5 mile this week. Kind of just. The upside's been there for his make cuts, top 20 finish last week, top 10 finish at the Fortinet Championship. Decent course history here. He's a play that I don't mind. It's kind of makes you uncomfortable playing these guys, but once again, that's just the week that we have, and it's kind of unfortunate that we have, plays like this week, but that's just kind of how it's going. And then let's just get into a couple value plays, and now we'll get into the core plays here. All right, so Michael Thompson here does have the local ties narrative, once again, if you will. Resident in Georgia currently, so we like that. Does rank out pretty well in the 9 to 5 mile. Top 36 in the 9 to 5 mile this week. That's pretty good for a value price point. We can see course history-wise, 2 out of 3 made cuts. Nothing great there, though. Let's go a little bit lower here. A little bit better on Bermuda greens. A little bit better on seaside courses. A little bit of a risk reward play, but that's kind of the theme this week is that we don't have that good of player pool this week. It's just a shitty player pool this week so far with how everything's priced. So that's just going to be what it is. There's going to be a lot of risk. There's going to be a lot of bad plays. Another bad play that I actually kind of like this week is Kramer Hickok. Okay, 4th place finish at the Houston Open. Now that might have been going back to like local ties there last week for him, but miscut the event prior to that. Then a 30th and a 57th. One of those being a no-cut event, so not that good there. But, 2 out of 3 good events. Kind of chasing the upside, I guess, if you will. We think about a course where it would be a decent course for him. This would be it. Like, he should play well at this course. Just that's this week, guys, that we don't have any, phenomenal plays. And that's just my issue with this week is that we're trying to find reasons to play guys instead of reasons not to play them like we have every tournament prior to this one. All right, so let's get into the core plays here. It's going kind of long here, so I'll make this quick. So core plays, I do want to go with Kirk. I already mentioned him a little bit, but he's going to be a player that I go back to the well with this week. Just top 30 in the 9 to 5 mile, good results. I kind of expect him to make the cut, decent price point. He's a guy that does play better on shorter tracks, seaside courses, all that good stuff. We do see upside with him. Kirk at 8K, decent price point for him. A player that I didn't mention is going to be Russell Henley as well. Now, when you start to trust Russell Henley is when he like hurts you the most. And I kind of see that with him. He's always like a risk reward play, you know. Course history wise, not that good. 1 made cut and then 2 missed cuts recently. That's not good. Top 25 staff hit, but 8th in recent form rank. 7 straight made cuts in a row. Top 10 finish last week. Does play a lot better on shorter tracks, so we like to see that. A little bit better putter on Bermuda Green. So Russell Henley, definitely not one that you're excited about to have to play, but I think we are just going to be forced into playing him. And then Cory Connors, guy's just been playing such good golf recently that I think we can, you know, pretty much lock into made cut. I guess the only worry would be didn't play all too well at the Shriners, still made the cut. 3 straight made cuts at this tournament. Once again, really strong player on those shorter tracks. So I do like Cory Connors a lot this week. And then get into the last core play. I already mentioned him, already pulled him up. It's going to be Denny McCarthy as well. Just like him at that price point. It's a good, strong price point play. 2 out of 3 made cuts, or 2 out of 4 made cuts here, but he did have that top 10 finish. Something I like to see. Really strong recent form, except for that missed cut at the Shriners. But still, 3 straight made cuts in a row. We like to see that. And then just kind of putting those 4 players into the lineup tool here. Just to show you guys. So Cory Connors, Russell Henley, and then let's go down a little bit lower. It was Kirk, and then let's see if we can find Denny McCarthy. So there you go. At this base build for you, 71% chance that those 4 players are going to make the cut with the projection of 324 DK points. That's pretty good. Good starting point for you guys this week. That's all I have for you guys. I know this video ran a little bit longer than it typically does. I apologize for that. There's a lot to dive into this week, okay? This is going to be a cutthroat week. It's just pretty much the best way to say it. Probably a good week to do studs and duds again, just because it's a higher variance week. Typically in higher variance weeks, in easier scoring weeks, the field gets a little bit evened out. So you want to pay up for those studs, and then you want to find those okay value plays that are going to make the cut, because once again, I do not feel that great about that mid-tier price point range, whereas that low tier to value tier, feeling a lot better about those plays than I was that mid-tier price point range. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. Let's have a good week. Let's end it on a good note. Let's take down one more GPP. Why not? If not, let's just get a profitable week in there again to recap or to lock up what was a good fall swing there. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Let's keep cashing.